Hello and welcome. This guide is brought to you by the experts at My Tax Accountant. And today, we're tackling one of the biggest, and I mean biggest, hidden costs in any UK property refurbishment, VAT. We're going to show you how to legally slash this tax bill and potentially save you thousands on your next project.
All right, let's kick things off with a number that could be secretly blowing a massive hole in your dream renovation budget. And that number is 20%. This is the standard VAT rate, the default charge that builders will add to pretty much every part of a refurb, from the labor right through to the materials.
I mean, think about that for a second. On a pretty standard 80,000 pound job, you're just handing over 16 grand, straight to the tax man. That's enough for a brand new car or an incredible family holiday, just gone, before you've even picked out the paint colors. But what if I told you there are perfectly legal, HMRC approved ways to slash that bill? Now, I'm not talking about some dodgy loophole here. We're talking about established reliefs that can drop your VAT rate in a big way. Stay with me because the information in the next few minutes could genuinely save you a fortune.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. First up, we've got to understand the default position. I like to call it the 20% VAT trap, because honestly, that's what it is for most people. It's the standard rate that gets applied unless you can prove your project fits into a very specific category. So what exactly counts as a refurbishment? Well, HMRC casts a really wide net on this one. We're talking about pretty much any work that improves or alters an existing home, from the huge jobs like extensions and loft conversions, right down to gutting a kitchen or a major rewire. Basically, if you're making big changes to a home that's currently lived in or was recently, that 20% rate is your starting point.
This table right here, this is your roadmap out of that 20% trap. See, most people get stuck right on that top row, paying the standard rate without a second thought. But the real magic, the big savings for your budget, they're sitting right there in those 5% and 0% categories. The trick is just knowing how to get there.
All right, let's talk about the big one. How do you actually unlock that incredible 5% reduced rate? This is kind of like the renovator's secret weapon, and honestly, it's easier to access than you might think, as long as your project fits the bill.
The first, and probably the most common way, is something called the 2-year empty home rule. And it's as simple as it sounds. If the house or flat you're working on has been totally empty, I mean nobody living in it, for 2 full years right before the work kicks off, then bam, your entire project could qualify for that 5% rate. But, and this is a big but, you can't just say it's been empty, you've got to prove it. And this slide shows you exactly what HMRC is looking for. Council tax records, utility bills showing next to no usage. Those are great. But the absolute gold standard, that's a letter from a council's empty homes officer. That little piece of paper is your golden ticket. Look, this isn't just some dry tax theory. Let me tell you about a real client, Sarah from Bristol. She bought this beautiful Victorian semi that had been sitting empty since 2022. She did her homework, got the proof, and handed it to her builder. Just by doing that, her entire renovation got charged at 5% VAT. That saved her over £10,000. 10 grand, just from knowing the rule. Okay, pro tip time. And please listen to this one, because this is where so many people trip up. To get that sweet 5% rate on your materials, your kitchen, your tiles, everything, your builder has to be the one who buys and installs them. If you go down to the local shop and buy them yourself, you're going to pay the full 20% at the till, and there's no way to claim that difference back. So seriously, let your builder handle the shopping. Okay, now for the second way to hit that 5% rate. And this one's really interesting. It's all about changing the number of dwellings. So think about taking one big house and converting it into 2 separate flats. Or you could go the other way, knocking 2 flats together to create one big family home. The key thing here, the property doesn't need to have been empty at all. It's the act of converting it that unlocks the reduced rate. Right, now for the holy grail of property VAT, getting that rate all the way down to 0. Now, I'll be honest, it's a bit rarer for a simple refurbishment, but it is absolutely possible. And you'll want to stay with me for this next bit. It might just surprise you how relevant it is to a lot of modern renovations. So for most refurbs, the main path to 0% VAT is by installing specific energy-saving materials. Thanks to a really smart government initiative, a whole list of goodies, we're talking insulation, solar panels, heat pumps, are all currently 0 rated. And this isn't just a temporary thing, it's locked in until at least 2027, which is a fantastic reason to make your home a bit greener. And here's a quick did you know for you. The simple act of asking your builder for a detailed invoice can literally save you thousands. We had a client, Tom from Cardiff, who was spending about 15 grand on a heat pump and insulation. By simply asking his contractor to list those items separately on the final bill, he instantly saved an extra £3,000 in VAT. Just like that. Okay, so we've gone through the rules, which is great, but how do you actually put all of this into practice? Let's pull it all together. Here's a super simple 5-step checklist you can use on your own project to see if you can unlock these savings. Right. Following these 5 steps methodically is your best bet to make sure you don't overpay. Start with the basics. Check the property's history. Then, get clear on the work you're doing. But honestly, the most crucial part on this entire list is step 3. You, the property owner, have to give your builder a written certificate saying the property is eligible. It's just a simple declaration, but if you don't do it, they are legally required to charge you the full 20%. Okay, now let's look at where things can go pear-shaped. Because knowing the rules is one thing, but avoiding the common pitfalls is another. That's not all. Here's where a lot of people go wrong, and it can undo all your hard work. A really common mistake is just assuming everything in the project gets the reduced rate. This table here lays it out perfectly. For instance, those lovely fitted kitchen units your builder installs, yes, they can be 5%. But that fancy freestanding fridge freezer you bought to go in it? Nope, that's always 20%. And it's the same with people. Your builder's time might be at 5%, but your architect's fees, they'll be standard rated. Let me just share one last story with you that really hammers this home. Raj, a freelancer over in London, paid 20% VAT on his entire £60,000 renovation. He had absolutely no idea the house qualified under the 2-year empty rule, which means he'd overpaid by a whopping £9,000. But here's the good news. It's not always too late. We helped him dig up the evidence after the fact and guided him through the process to claim every penny back from HMRC. The lesson here? Always, always check the property's history. So, as you can probably tell by now, navigating all these rules can be, well, a bit of a minefield. The conditions are specific, you need the right evidence, and while the savings are absolutely massive, getting it wrong can be a really expensive mistake. The big thing I want you to take away from this is that getting your VAT right isn't just some little bonus. It is a fundamental part of your project's budget. Seriously, a 15% saving can be the difference between a project getting off the ground or not. Or it could just be the extra cash you need for those high-spec finishes you've been dreaming of. So as we finish up here, I just want to leave you with one final question to think about. When you look at your own project, your dream renovation, are you absolutely certain you're not about to overpay by thousands just by accepting that default 20% rate? Look, for total peace of mind and to make sure you get this right, your best bet is to talk to the specialists. The team at My Tax Accountant live and breathe property VAT. Get in touch with them for a consultation. All their details are right there on the screen. They'll make sure you pay the right amount of VAT and not a single penny more. And hey, while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel for more brilliant tips just like this.